Spring, 1964. Heathrow Airport, London. Among the thousands of arrivals, a 17-year-old boy steps onto British soil. His name is Farrokh Bulsara. Born September 5, 1946, in Stone Town, Zanzibar. His family has fled. The Zanzibar Revolution, a violent uprising that left thousands dead, forced them to abandon everything. His father, Bohemian Bulsara, worked as a cashier for the British Colonial Office. His mother, Jer, his younger sister, Kashmira. They're Parsi, followers of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest religions. They've lost their home, but they've kept their lives. The Bulsara family settles in Feltham, Middlesex, 22 Gladstone Avenue, a modest, semi-detached house in working-class West London. Nothing like the warmth of Zanzibar. Grey skies, cold British rain. Hostile stares from neighbors who don't understand Parsi immigrants. His life in London was basically an exile, one biographer would later write. But for young Farrokh, London represents possibility. He'd already spent years at boarding school in India, St. Peter's School in Panchgani, where he learned piano and formed his first band, the Hectics, at age 12. Now he's in London, the center of the musical universe. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, The Who. This is where it's happening. After Isleworth Polytechnic, Farrokh moves to Ealing Art College in 1966. A legendary institution where Pete Townsend of The Who once studied, where Ronnie Wood learned his craft. He studies graphic art and design, but as Mercury himself later recalled, "I went to Ealing Art School the year after Pete Townsend left. Music was a sideline to everything we did. I did it for a couple of months, but then I thought, my God, I've done enough. The interest just wasn't there." The interest was music. Always music. June 2, 1969. Farrokh Bulsara becomes a British citizen. He's no longer a refugee. He's British. That same month, he graduates with a diploma in graphic art and design. First-class honors. But Farrokh Bulsara has other plans. Bigger plans. Summer, 1969, Kensington Market. A 3-story maze of counterculture. Housed in an old department store on Kensington High Street, it's a labyrinth of over 100 independent stalls. The air smells of patchouli and vinyl. Dimly lit corridors. Vendors selling vintage Edwardian jackets, velvet capes, silk scarves, bell-bottoms, ethnic textiles imported from India, psychedelic posters, platform boots. This is the epicenter of London's hippie revolution, where Mick Jagger shops, where Zandra Rhodes finds inspiration. Farrokh works here, sharing a stall with Roger Taylor, a blonde, handsome drummer studying dentistry but living from music. They sell second-hand clothes to make rent, scraping by together. Roger Taylor would later remember, "We had a stall in Kensington Market, and he was so delightful, just great to be around, with a tremendous lust for life." But Farrokh needs more than retail. He needs a stage. August 13, 1969. He meets Ibex, a Liverpool band desperate for a singer. 10 days later, August 23rd, Bolton, Lancashire, his debut performance. He's nervous but explosive. He moves like no other singer, theatrical, bold, unpredictable, already finding that iconic pose, parading with a microphone stand like a scepter. They play covers, Jailhouse Rock, and a song Farrokh wrote called Stone Cold Crazy. Queen would record it years later. Ibex relocates to Liverpool. Freddie moves with them. Lives above the Dovedale Towers pub on Penny Lane. Yes, that Penny Lane. But Ibex struggles. September 9, 1969. Their final gig at Liverpool Sync Club. The band dissolves. Farrokh returns to London, briefly joins Sour Milk Sea. They record one single. It goes nowhere. He's frustrated. These bands aren't good enough. He knows he's capable of more. Meanwhile, his friends Roger Taylor and Brian May play in a band called Smile. Their singer, Tim Staffel, is leaving to join a band with the unfortunate name Humpy Bong. Farrokh has been watching Smile's rehearsals at Imperial College, making suggestions, proposing bolder arrangements, more theatrical performances. Brian May would later recall, "We loved Freddie from the beginning. He was such an ebullient character and so full of confidence. We thought, he's a good showman, but can he sing?" Roger Taylor was even more skeptical. He was so extreme, one was tempted to laugh at first because he hadn't developed his voice. He didn't have the control he had later. But something was undeniable. Roger remembered. He had this thrusting energy and zeal for everything, and really a massive array of hidden talents. April 1970. They invite him to join. He accepts immediately. But Farrokh Bulsara won't do. He needs a stage name, something powerful, something unforgettable. He chooses Freddie, Freddie Mercury. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the planet closest to the sun, perfect for a frontman. June 27, 1970, Truro, Cornwall. The last performance of Smile with Freddie Mercury as vocalist. A transition, a metamorphosis, because Smile is the wrong name. Too soft, too timid. Freddie proposes something bolder, regal, provocative. Queen. Brian and Roger hesitate. It's too camp, too outrageous. People will think they're gay. Freddie insists. It's strong, it's immediate, and it's outrageous, darling. They agree. Smile dies. Queen is born. July 18, 1970. Imperial College Union Concert Hall, London. Queen's first official gig under that name. The lineup: Freddie Mercury, vocals, Brian May, guitar, Roger Taylor, drums, and Mike Gross on bass. Mike won't last. Neither will Barry Mitchell or Doug Bogie. Queen burns through 3 bassists in 8 months, searching for the missing piece. March 1971. After meeting at a London disco in February, a quiet electronics student from Chelsea College auditions. John Deacon. 19 years old, from Leicester. Not flashy, not talkative, but technically brilliant, solid, reliable. He plays perfectly, doesn't say much. Brian, Roger, and Freddie exchange glances. This is the one. John Deacon joins Queen. 1st of March, 1971. The lineup is complete. The lineup that will change music forever. Freddie designs the band's logo himself. His graphic design training finally pays off. An ornate crest, a cue for Queen. The zodiac signs of all 4 members. 2 lions for Leo, his and Roger's sign. A crab for Cancer, Brian's. Fairies for Virgo, John's. A phoenix rising from flames, resurrection, rebirth, immortality. It's intricate, regal, royal. This logo will appear on every Queen album. It becomes one of the most recognizable symbols in rock history. But in 1971, they're nobodies. 4 young men living in cramped flats, dreaming of something bigger. Early 1970s. All 4 Queen members share a flat at 36 Sinclair Road, Hammersmith. Cramped, cold. They rehearse constantly, write songs, argue about arrangements. Roger Taylor remembers, "We were living in each other's pockets, scrubbing together to eat." Freddie lives mostly with his girlfriend, Mary Austin, at 100 Holland Road, Kensington. A small, modest flat. Mary works at Biba, the fashionable boutique with its Art Deco interiors and hip clientele. She supports Freddie when he has no money. He loves her deeply. Years later, after Freddie comes out as gay, they remain best friends. He calls her the love of my life. He leaves her much of his estate, including Garden Lodge. "You were my common-law wife," he tells her. She's family. 1971 and 72. Queen records demos at Delaney Studios, London. They use downtime when other bands aren't booked. Free studio time, late nights, weekends, but no record deal. They're ambitious. Freddie wants grandeur, operatic vocals, orchestral arrangements, layered guitar harmonies, complex songs with multiple movements. This isn't simple rock and roll. But record companies don't understand. Too weird, too theatrical, too much. Queen keeps playing London venues. The Marquee Club, dark, sweaty, packed with bodies. Imperial College, the Rainbow Theatre, building a following, song by song, show by show. Late 1972, breakthrough. Trident Studios, where David Bowie records, where Elton John creates magic, offers them a production deal. There's a catch. Queen must record on downtime, nights, weekends, when Lou Reed and Bowie aren't using the studio. It's frustrating, slow, but it's their chance. Brian May recalls the early sessions. Freddie was in a real transitional phase. When we first met Freddie, he charged around a lot, he screamed a lot, he shouted, and it made a huge impression. But he didn't have the measure of his instrument. The studio changes everything. He learned how to use his voice, Brian continues. He turned out to be our beautiful, wonderful Freddie. They record their first album, self-titled, Queen. Freddie writes, "Keep yourself alive, liar, great king rat, heavy, hard rock," but with those unmistakable vocal harmonies. EMI Records signs them, July 1973. The first Queen album is released. Reviews are mixed, sales are modest, but there's a buzz. Queen is different. November 1973. They tour the UK supporting Mott the Hoople, larger venues, bigger audiences. Freddie discovers his power. He controls the crowd, commands attention. His stage presence is unlike anything Britain has seen. March 8, 1974. Queen 2 is released. This is the sound they were reaching for. 7 Seas of Rye. White Side, Black Side. Pure Queen. The album peaks at number 5. They're breaking through. March 31st. Rainbow Theatre, London. Queen headlines. The show is theatrical. Lighting, costumes. Freddie changes outfits multiple times. The audience is hypnotized. October 1974. Sheer Heart Attack contains Killer Queen. Freddie's ode to high-class elegance, champagne, caviar, Moet et Chandon. It reaches number 2 in the UK. Queen's first major hit, America notices. They're stars now, but Freddie has something bigger in mind. Something nobody's ever attempted. Summer 1975. Rockfield Studios, Monmouthshire, Wales. Queen is recording their 4th album, A Night at the Opera. Brian May remembers Freddie coming in with loads of bits of paper from his dad's work, like post-it notes, and pounding on the piano. He played the piano like most people play the drums. Freddie had been working on this song for years, since Ealing Art College in the late 60s. He called it the cowboy song because of one line, "Mama just killed a man." He'd played the beginning for producer Roy Thomas Baker at his Holland Road flat, played the opening ballad on the piano, then stopped and declared, "And this is where the opera section comes in." Then they went out to eat dinner. Baker thought he was joking. He wasn't. The song is 6 minutes long, multiple sections, ballad, opera, hard rock, back to ballad. No chorus, nothing conventional. Brian, Roger, and John are unsure. It's too long, too weird. Radio won't play it. Freddie is adamant. This is the song. This is the one. Bohemian Rhapsody. They record it in pieces. 3 weeks. 5 different studios. The opera section alone takes a week. 180 vocal overdubs. Freddie, Brian, and Roger singing for 10 to 12 hours a day, layering harmonies until the tape becomes nearly transparent. Producer Roy Thomas Baker. The middle part started off being just a couple of seconds, but Freddie kept coming in with more Galileos, and we kept on adding to the opera section, and it just got bigger and bigger. We never stopped laughing. The finished song is insane, brilliant, unprecedented. October 31st, 1975. Bohemian Rhapsody is released. EMI is terrified. 6 minutes? Impossible for radio. They want You're My Best Friend as the single instead. But DJ Kenny Everett gets an early pressing. with strict instructions not to play it, wink wink. He plays it 14 times in 2 days on Capital Radio. The phone lines explode. Record stores are flooded with requests. November 8, 1975. Bohemian Rhapsody reaches #1. It stays there for 9 weeks, through Christmas and New Year's. Brian May. That was really when the Queen volcano erupted, when it suddenly just went bang. Queen is no longer just a band. They're a phenomenon. Freddie composed much of Bohemian Rhapsody at 100 Holland Road. Mary Austin's flat, working at the piano, hearing the entire arrangement in his head before anyone else could. Brian May would later say, "This song was all in Freddie's mind before we started. The instrument was there, but he hadn't learned that incredible control which made him the great god, Freddie Mercury." What does the song mean? Freddie never explained. It's personal, darling. People can interpret it however they like. Brian supports the theory it contained veiled references to Freddie's personal struggles. Freddie was a very complex person, flippant and funny on the surface, but he concealed insecurities and problems in squaring up his life with his childhood. London made Queen. Imperial College, where they rehearsed and played their first gigs. The Rainbow Theatre, where they became stars. Kensington Market, where Freddie and Roger dreamed of something bigger while selling vintage clothes. 100 Holland Road, where Freddie composed the song that changed everything. Roger Taylor reflects on those early days. He sort of invented himself. He was so delightful, with a tremendous lust for life. Brian May adds, Freddie would say, "One of my great catchphrases is, 'We don't compromise,' but within the band we did, and that's why we survived." From Farrokh Bulsara, the refugee from Zanzibar, to Freddie Mercury, the greatest frontman in rock history, London gave him safety, a stage, a chance, and he gave the world something no one had ever seen before. By 1975, Queen had conquered Britain. America would follow. The world would follow. Live Aid, Wembley Stadium, sold-out tours across the globe, countless hits that still fill stadiums today. But it started in London, in a cramped flat in Hammersmith, in a stall at Kensington Market, at a student union at Imperial College, with a boy from Zanzibar who dared to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. Freddie Mercury, Queen, London, forever intertwined.